Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to NewsNation. My brothers and sisters, this is where right and left can come to be reasonable. So the media today is filled with talk about demolishing the East Wing of the White House, right? And the boogeyman of Antifa, which seems to be like an unimpressive-looking group of white college dropouts to me. These are dangerous distractions, okay? The biggest sign of where we're headed is ignored. The best hope for how we can avoid that is ignored. And I want you to know why. We are being fed by the parties, the players, and the media that feeds off it, the negative, because it works and it keeps us divided and it makes the algorithms jump. That should make you angry and active. First, you want to talk about the problem? Talk about Chris Moynihan. Who? Exactly. Looks just like those Antifa guys they keep showing you. Another disaffected 30-something white male. The guy was pardoned by Trump for committing felonies on January 6th. And he was just arrested for saying he was planning to kill the minority leader in the House. Very little attention. Why? Well, for the media, let's be honest. It's because he didn't do it. He didn't kill Hakeem Jeffries, God forbid. And we're all about the violence, right? Now, why not on the right? Come on. They only care when it's the left. The Speaker of the House just said the bare minimum, empty words. We denounce all violence in politics. But then he said, but it's the left. They're making it bad. That is leading with the Bible, Mr. Speaker. That's what you said you were going to do. Didn't you read James 4:17? It's sin to fail to do what you know is right for the righteous man. And you know what is right here, and you're ignoring it out of political convenience. And that's why, or one reason why, we are headed for more violence as a sign of our times, because no one wants to be about anything better than showing that the other side is worse. And I got to tell you, I don't know that it's going to be the jihadis, right? Right now, we got Muslims who are okay with the idea of intifada, AKA killing Jews, welcome to run for office, sitting in Congress, right? I don't think that that's what we're targeting, because obviously we're kind of opening our arms to it. But young men like Moynihan who confuse violence for purpose, we keep seeing them acting out. So where is the hope? The largest day of protest in our history. How was that a one-day story? Because we're not about better. We're about what makes it worse. And there was no real violence in the millions and millions of people protesting, which I thought was amazing. And proof of the power of the dominant populist movement in our country right now that has a real chance of becoming the majority movement and a functional party in the next set of elections. Organizers say that between 5 and 7 million people turned out for the No Kings rallies, 2 million more than the previous ones they had this summer. Unheard of numbers, unheard of ability to organize. The only thing I don't like is the name. No Kings is way more than just Trump sucks. It's beyond our obsession with red and blue and recognizes that the only color that matters in politics is green. Do you remember when I showed you the same Richies looking down at both conventions from their cozy boxes? That is the real enemy. No Kings is a reaction formation to MAGA, yet also populated by the same folks as MAGA. White folks in their prime. That's what was leading the way. You saw it on your screens, just like MAGA. And they're not just Democrats. They're largely nonpartisan. Why? Because the parties suck. That's why. This is the biggest sign and the best hope that the many may take back our politics from the few. Affordability issues are real and getting deeper because of the tariffs. And this movement demands better from government. See, unlike MAGA, they're not just about what they're against. They are about what they are for, and I think that's a fundamental distinction. How ICE works, how the president works, how Congress works. They want action, not just opposition. They want law and order, not whatever I order becomes the law. That is a powerful difference. And here's what I like about it. Here's why I think that there is hope. It's not about the political ideas per se. It's that they are about what the majority wants in this country. And I think that matters even if and when I disagree with the majority. But 80% in this country want to change the party system and the money in it. 3 out of 4 say the rich do not pay their fair share and the loopholes should be removed. They haven't been. 60% disapprove of the tariffs. 68% have a negative view of the economy. Nearly 60% say that's on Trump. See, that's why the left shut down the government, because they believe that muscularity of approach matches this movement, but they're missing a piece. You got to deliver something but the pain of the shutdown. Will they? Just as we saw with MAGA and the left, the right has misplayed this badly. No, the Republicans are making a mistake, calling the No Kings protests un-American, communist. It's all about hating Trump, led by Antifa. That's all BS. They cannot prove that to you. Why? Because it's not about the proof, it's about the perception. They want to dismiss it, and that's a mistake. The radical lefties aren't even part of it. They're basically calling these people the deplorables, and they're going to regret it. The irony is, this movement actually has space for anybody who will help, even Trump. 3 out of 4 say health care must be more affordable. Most families are one crisis from being broke, right? If the president were to get this, if he could tell Congress right now, you know what? Get in there and give me something to sign that protects Obamacare's subsidy. Well, he'll never say that, but that protects the health care subsidies and brings down health care prices, even if I have to tax the rich to do so. If he did that, his numbers would pop with them because they're about results. But he would rather blame the left, and we know why. Our politics is so removed right now from the interest of the many. It is all about pleasing the few, the base. And that's what explains, in my opinion, the oddity of our first story and guest. Why would the president commute George Santos' 7-year sentence after Santos pleaded guilty to being what we really don't want in our politics? He only served 84 days. I'm sure one day is too many for any of us, but, you know, he did the crime, but he didn't have to do the time. He admitted to stealing from people, some of them elderly, cognitively impaired, campaign donors, all for his own kind of selfish uses of luxury goods, Hermes this, and Brooks Brothers that. So why did Trump do it? Well, what he said was basically that he voted GOP reliably. And all of the things I just told you that he admitted doing wrong, Trump dismisses as being rogue. Look, this isn't out of the ordinary for the president. He has a long history of pardoning and commuting sentences of people who actually did it, right? Chris Collins, Duncan Hunter, Michael Grimm, just to name a few. Why? It's fealty over fidelity to justice. And I believe people are sick of it. Hence, the biggest movement for change that we've seen that at this stage dwarfs what MAGA was. So the question becomes, why did he do it? We know why Santos would want it. Anybody wants to get out of prison. But what does Santos want now, and what is the lesson in all of this? So, joining us, former Republican member of Congress, newly out of prison, Mr. George Santos. George, thank you for taking the opportunity. Maybe you know best. Do you believe the president would have pardoned you if there were a D after your name instead of an R?
You know, I appreciate you for having me, Chris, but let's just face it. Yeah, he would, because he pardoned former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, who is a Democrat, staunch Democrat. So I think it's disingenuous to think that this is political. But I understand the concern and I understand your question. The president has the power of the pardon of clemency, and they're plenary. I'm humbled. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I think my sentence was hyperinflated. You just mentioned a few former members who were pardoned. I'll give Michael Grimm, who's another GOP congressman from New York, who only received 18 months after he concealed almost shy of $1 million in extra income from Congress at the time. If you put that in comparison, I had an overinflated, an over-politically charged sentence. I'm not saying I'm a choir boy. I understand and I agree. I was a terrible person. I did terrible things that I regret. You don't need to tell me that. I don't need to hear it. I hear it from myself and my own thoughts, and I've made that very clear.
Well, George, I'm not here to judge you. It's not my place. That's what that was the system, and you pleaded guilty. I agree with you about Blagojevich, but what are you leaving out? He pardoned him after he backed him. All right? And that matters more to Trump than the R or the D. I'll give you that. But you can't cite me him pardoning any Democrats because he just doesn't care about party. I think it's all he cares about. Everybody else you named is a Republican. And look, I get it. It's a little kind of ugly and obvious, but I get it. But here's what I don't get. I've been listening to your interviews out there, and I'm not here to judge you, but I will judge your answers. and you say, hey, look, man, I'm going to do different going forward. The commutation was specifically worded to not just remove the punishment of time, but also of money. Now, when you look at who you took the money from, don't you think if you want to get to a better place with anybody, let alone in your own opinion, you should be working to pay those people back?
Look, Chris, it's a question that was posed to me for the first time yesterday, and the answer was I don't have an answer at the moment, but the answer is morally, it's the correct thing to do. My legal team is working to find out avenues. You can't just nilly-willy go up to people and say, oh, here's a check. There needs to be an official mechanism and an avenue to do so. And when the time is right and I have the financial means, I am going to do it. I've already committed that I will do it. I think you're right. I think everyone who's posed a question is right. Look, I don't have to, but I want to, because it's the only way that I can resolve my quarrels of the past and to right the wrongs of my past and then move forward. So you're not wrong. I will be looking into it. My attorneys are already, brainstorming. They're working on ways that we can do it legally, and we will be doing it. And I will make very clear the day that I accomplish that, I will announce it so people can know it was done. So it's not a matter of dodging it. I don't have to, but I want to, because I want to do what is morally correct. And I guess that would definitely be a great start for me to prove to people that my actions are different than my past words and actions and transgressions.
Is George Santos's commutation proof that President Trump doesn't believe in justice? He believes in what works for just us, the MAGA base.
That's not true. I think President Trump has a long history of clemency and of being a very, very merciful individual. People like to just throw whatever rhetoric works. Chris, I'm sorry. I listened to your monologue. You made some valid points about the media not reporting on certain things because it's not either sexy or it doesn't give ratings because it's not divisive enough. How about we stop trying to create a there and just accept the fact that the president has the plenary powers of clemency. He chooses to do it as he wishes, just like former President Biden chose to pardon his entire family. And again, I'm not saying you specifically, Chris, because I do remember you were outraged. I remember watching your show because I do watch your show. And you were outraged, justly so, because he lied. He said he wouldn't, and he did. Now, the president did, and I didn't see this mass outrage. I'm really trying to struggle to understand how is it that a lot of people out there can square away President Biden pardoning Hunter Biden in an egregious attempt, but I'm getting clemency. After I served 41 days in isolation, in solitary confinement, in a federal United States prison, denied basic human rights. I'm not saying that that makes up for everything, but prison is not a nice place. It's not meant to be nice, but it's supposed to be rehabilitatory, and we're not rehabilitating people, not at least in FCI Ferreton under the care of Warden Kelly.
Listen, I got you, but look, I know your situation. The sentence may have been more than the other guys, but blame your lawyers. It was within the guidelines. And George, you know how it works in prison. A guy like you, when he gets threats, they put you in protective custody so you don't get, the shit smacked out of you. I mean, that's why they do it.
Protective custody shouldn't have the same consequences of disciplinary custody, and that's where the issue
What would you have had them do, George? Leave you out there? What do you think was going to happen?
Chris, I was there, obviously, because of security. I'm not allowed to discuss the confines of the compound per legal. You're not supposed to. It's illegal. But I can say that there was various ways that they could secure me. I didn't have a threat inside. I had a hoax of a threat that was made on the outside. Right. Essentially, somebody saying they were going to break into prison to murder George Santos, which we all knew was false. But again, they had to do their process. The process was inhumane, was dehumanizing, and I vehemently rebuke it and reject it. And I don't think any American, in the name of protection, should be treated the way I was protected.
Well, I get it. And you should know people get treated a lot worse, George, than what you've been through. And most of them never get to even know the president, let alone have him bail them out. And just so we have clear eyes on it, as I ask you what this is all about for you now, because I was a little surprised you went public, to be honest. But people are pissed off, not because they don't think the president has the right. It's because they don't think how he exercised his power is right. Because you checked a lot of boxes for people of what makes politics terrible, what you lied about, how you lied about it, what you denied, and who you extorted. So it looks like he's rewarding that behavior and that he didn't even really care about it. That's why.
You know, I think this is amazing. I can sit here and point out to you lists. I mean, look at Dick Blumenthal. Have you ever brought him on your show and give him the same Riot Act rating after 20 years of he misleading Connecticut
George, you
people?
think I'm reading you the Riot Act right now?
I'm just
really,
Chris. I'm being honest with you and I'm being direct. Have you brought Dick Blumenthal here and dressed him down on national television?
He admitted he lied and he didn't commit a crime. Okay.
I mean,
come on, George. Look, all I'm saying is
Chris,
this. You move forward any way you want, but if you want people to see you different, you got to be different. That's all I'm saying.
I am different. The thing is, I'm not going to sit here and accept people to judge me as if
I'm not judging you.
I've been listening to people on TV for the last 5 days. I mean, to some extent, if you watch some other coverage, some of your former colleagues over at CNN all they're missing to say is that I'm the Antichrist. That's literally as close as they're coming, as if I'm this horrible human being that I've killed and I've mangled and I've maimed. And it's very frustrating because I'm trying to do the best I can, and I will continue. I won't let my critics define me because I refuse to be fueled by hate. But at the same time, I'm going to fight back when I feel it's unfair, the comparisons that are being drawn. Again, I have a load of respect for coming on TV and taking the tough questions. I do them. You've seen me on TV, Chris, for years. I've always come on and taken the tough questions from anybody. I don't run from the questions like most politicians in D.C. I actually wish most politicians in Washington, D.C. would actually face the music and take the tough questions instead of saying no comment or hiding or actually just going ahead and resigning. So at least I do the tough part.
Well, the tough part's telling the truth, George. I can take all the questions, too, if I'm just going to bullshit my way through them. That's all I'm saying. Look, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not giving you a hard time. I got to be honest, George. If I wanted to give you a hard time, it would be a very different situation, but that's not what this is about. It's about using you as a lens on what matters to this administration and getting a feel for what this is going to be about. And we all know what comes next. The American people will know what you show. That veteran who's going to sue you because he says he's owed the money, I don't know what his legal rights are, but I know if you wanted to make it right, you should start your list of who you pay back with the guy who's on the screen right now. And I think you know that, too.
I want to make this very clear. Mr. Osthoff, who you have on your screen, is very well aware that what he is saying is untrue. Mr. Osthoff in 2014, and I was not indicted, investigated, or accused formally by the government in any capacity of wrongdoing in this case. I submitted every single proof of evidence, the funds, the note from the veteran saying the dog Sapphire was too long gone and the surgery would result in, she had a 15% chance of survival because Mr. Osthoff took too long to bring her and look for help, but not alone. If she did survive the surgery, he didn't have the means to continue care because he was homeless at the time. So we made a decision at the time to disperse the funds to save other dogs that actually had a chance and that allow Sapphire to have whatever quality of life she had left to continue with Mr. Osthoff. He doesn't agree with that. I understand. People have to make tough choices in certain industries. Rescue is a tough business. I feel for Mr. Osthoff. I feel for his dog. I did not take a penny from Mr. Osthoff or the people in the organization who donated to the organization. We helped other animals. We provided that. I provided all of that when I was questioned on it, hence no charges. So Mr. Osthoff is free to say whatever he wants because he has that power under the First Amendment, and I support him to continue to say, but I would challenge him to at least be truthful when he's saying these things. I've never even met Mr. Osthoff, to be honest with you, Chris. So I think it's very unfair and disingenuous that everybody wants to pull heartstrings saying that I swindled a homeless veteran, that I hurt a dog. I've spent an entire life dedicated to rescuing animals, to helping people, and also I have a profound respect for our U.S. veterans. So this is a case, this is a perfect example of media sensationalism where they're taking a story, distorting it, and then using it against me when I wasn't even officially or at all considered for investigation or charges in this case.
George, it'll be the subject of litigation. We'll see how it comes out. Just because you're not charged, they had plenty of other stuff to work with. But again, let's end where we began. You are not a victim of anything other than your own actions, George. And that's what the system found.
Chris.
So, look, we'll see what you do going forward. Everybody deserves that chance. The president gave you a gift. We'll see what you do with it. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. You bet.
4 minutes and 35 seconds. Now, that was the easy part of the show for me, okay? You heard what I said off the top. okay? I know what the movement is in this country that may capture the majority, and I do not think it's about hating this country. I think it's about the opposite. Bill O'Reilly does not agree. Why? Let's get after it. All right, as I stated at the top, in case you didn't join me, the idea of what can save us from what I see is almost an inexorable road of more violence and division. I believe what we saw in that weekend of protests without violence and what they're saying they want, which I believe reflects what the majority in this country wants. And I see it as a good thing. Bill O'Reilly says, no, it isn't. It's good to see you. Why am I wrong this time?
Because you're wrong every time. Let me run down a few things, and then we'll get specific. Number one, you won't judge Santos, but I will.
Okay.
He's a grifter.
Oh, yeah.
All right?
He pleaded guilty to grifting.
And that's what he is, so I'm judging him. Number two, I wouldn't have let him out that fast. I would have probably kept him in there for a couple of years. I think he got over-sentenced, but it's not that he's a danger to society unless you're having dinner with him, but you got to send a message, and you can't.
Oh, Trump sent the message. Trump sent the message. If you're good to me, that's all that matters.
Well, that's not quite it, but I'll tell you in a minute.
Close enough.
But let's stick on George. So number three, complain about prison being dehumanizing. Well, sometimes me coming on this program is dehumanizing. It's just the way it is in the world, okay? There's a lot of dehumanizing stuff, George. All right, now, you have a situation on the No Kings that I was complimentary to the actual protesters for not misbehaving and looting and doing the things that they might have done. And I also believe in dissent. I think that if you don't like something, get out there, all right? Now, the reason that, and this ties right in, that President Trump pardoned Santos, and you had it 50% right, is he doesn't really care about the case. He doesn't think, and I care more because Santos was my congressman. And I'm mad at myself.
Voted for him.
For not investigating the man a little bit harder, because I didn't. His opponent was ridiculous, and I just said, okay, I don't really know this guy, but he's not as bad as that guy. And he was worse. He was worse.
Good job, Bill.
Okay, so that's on me. And by the same token, when I was cruising around on Saturday and trying to figure out what these protesters were angry at, why they were out there, most of them didn't know really why they were out there. They just don't like Trump. Now, to be honest and fair, ICE and immigration led the league. The left is mad about that. There's no doubt about it. But the others, you know, it was like a big party. It was they were there, and the ice cream guys showed up. Whenever the ice cream guys show up, you know that they might be taking the edge off it. And Trump pardoned Santos just to tee these people off. That's what he does. He does stuff that he don't really care about. Just he knows it annoys CNN, it annoys his detractors. I mean, and that's why he does it.
I get it.
Simple as that.
I get it. But just because you can explain it doesn't really excuse it. And I have to tell you, having covered the early and late MAGA rallies, you know, it's not like I was blown away by the answers for people who were there either. I'm still not.
No, I think across the board.
I think that
you'll like this, Cuomo. I was very hard on Hegseth, all right? Because just clear violation of freedom of the press. It's clear. And if anybody sues Hegseth, which they haven't yet, I'm pretty surprised at that, the Supreme Court will rule against Hegseth. I still get mail, mostly from MAGA fame, going, oh, no. The press doesn't have a right to cover anything. And I'm going, did you just get here from Russia? Did you just fly in from Putin land?
A lot of people are swallowing.
We have that in the Constitution.
A lot of they don't read it. They don't know it. They listen to what's in the bubble, and a lot of them are fed Boulder Dash. But what gives me hope in this movement is I see it as reaction formation to that flavor of stupid, no matter what ice cream is there. The majority of these people want the money out of politics, want the party system to change, want health care to become affordable, don't like what's happening with the economy right now. And I am for the majority taking back the agenda from the minority. I don't want to talk about the East Wing of the White House. I don't want to blame game of which side is more violent, and I see hope in this movement like I have not seen since MAGA first came.
All right, well, I'm weeping. I don't see a lot of hope. I see partisan politics and a massive amount of propaganda.
Most of them say they're nonpartisan.
I don't think the Santos story.
The place that's organizing it, the Public Citizen Group that Nader started in the 70s, is inherently nonpartisan, unless what you are about is the oligarchy of plutocracy, of money-making policy, and I think they should attack that.
Okay, that's fine. If you look at the organizations that funded this and had the signs made up and all of that, all progressive left, far left.
Yeah,
so
but they're the opposition. I mean, it's not going to come from the right. They're in power. People are only pissed off when they're not in power. Right, you know, so that's what it is.
And you got an election coming up in 2 weeks, and you got a midterms coming up in a year and 2 weeks, and that's where the ballot should fly. And I have to tell you that the Santos story, I covered a little on the No Spin News, but it's not an important story. I mean, I'm really now trying to get this China thing, which is next week, all right, which is the biggest story of the year. Whether Donald Trump can make a deal with China that will neutralize Putin and bring economic benefit to both countries. And I think he's got a shot at it. All right?
I agree with
That's an important story.
I think if he
not
does
George Santos.
Listen, I'm with you. Look.
No, if he does that, it's not going to matter. Those king people will still be out there.
But
they'll still be there no matter what Trump does.
Because it's
Wise up.
It's not a panacea. And you don't forget about the problems because he does something right, but you should acknowledge what's done right. And that's why I said in the mono, if he stood up and said...
But they don't.
Well, I don't know that. We'll see if he can get it done.
No, there wasn't one sign in a million people saying thank you for President Trump for getting hostages.
What protest has a sign that says thank you? That's not a protest. This was about what's wrong, not about what he did right. I mean, why are you holding them to a standard? I mean, the last time we saw something like this on the right, they stormed the Capitol. Okay? I mean, I think you take progress where you find it.
I'm not holding them to anything.
Go ahead.
Here's what I'm doing. Just like I judged George Santos, the majority of those protesters don't know what the blank they're talking about. All right? You want to know what a king is? Of course you don't. You want to know what a king is? You read my chapter in Confronting Evil on Henry VIII. Then you'll know what a king is, okay? That's number one. Number two, you have a bunch of people who hate Trump so much that whatever he does, they are not going to acknowledge anything positive. And you have that on the right, too, with Biden. The difference is Biden didn't do anything of historical note, and Trump has. And it's totally ignored because they don't like the tractor building a big ballroom. I mean, geez.
I think that that is not the explanation, but it is also an instruction in why I do the job the way I do, which is he does something right, say it because you're supposed to be about the country. He does something wrong, say it because you're about to be,
all right, but that's you. You weren't out there in the no king.
No, but I'll tell you, I liked what that was about. I like Public Citizen, and I believe that the Democrats and the Republicans better fight hard to have this movement be for them, because I think it's what's going to win the midterms. I have to jump, sir. I appreciate you being on the show every time, all the time. Thank you very much.
But it is dehumanizing, Cuomo.
Yes, and that makes sense, because I think you're more fruit than human. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Up next, yesterday in New York City. Look, you can't come into my home, all right, and go strong against immigrants in an ugly way and think everybody's going to be okay with it. I know what the rights are of law and order, but how you do the job matters, okay? So, how should the city deal with it? Well, we're now hearing that the Attorney General here says she's investigating and seeing what actions they can take. What actions is she going to take against the federal government? Ever heard of the supremacy clause? Is this just stupid politics, or are we going to have a problem? I have someone running for district attorney in Manhattan. She says law and order is ignored here, and it must be fixed. What is her case? Next.
We've been watching this person. He has been pushing ICE agents and police, and people have been defending him. They're pushing the agents, and the minute that the agents move somebody, that's when these people get thrown to the ground and tensions flare and escalate. So the whole situation is just incredibly volatile. People are angry with us for covering this. There's just a lot of anger overall, but as you can see, it's some of the same people that have been walking all the way across.
NewsNation has done some good coverage of what's happening in New York City, and it is worth watching. I don't know Jess Gravaglia, but I've been watching her coverage. You just saw her there. She's in the right place, and she's doing it the right way. Now, that puts her in the minority. I don't like the way ICE is prosecuting its authority, and I don't like how people are expecting to be physical with ICE and have good things happen. So, what is the right thing to do? What is not? Well, it's hard to know when politics get in the way, right? So the AG of New York, who was just indicted by this administration, says she is going to take looking at videos and seeing if they're breaking the law. As if what? What are you going to prosecute the federal government? She can't prosecute. It could only be civil. So what is she playing at with this? And Democratic members of Congress are saying NYPD should arrest and charge federal agents who illegally detain people off the street. Here's what I don't like about that. The people saying it know they can't do that, but they're saying it anyway. Why? Just to outrage you. So this is what's been going on, right? And I believe everybody's fomenting it. So we're seeing it reflected, our fight about law and order, in DA races all across the country, right? Seattle, Philadelphia, and New York. My next guest, running against current DA Alvin Bragg, who I believe is a symptom of the problem. He campaigns saying, I'm going to go get Trump. He then gets elected, and he gets Trump with a bad case. Makes us look bad. How will she do better? So, first way is running as an independent. Candidate Diana Florence joins me right now. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
If you win, remember me, take it easy on me. All right, I need a break. So, first of all, why would you get involved in what this is and what this has become about in politics? Why is this worth it to you?
Well, precisely because politics has no place in a district attorney's office. It has no place in our criminal justice system. And this isn't me spouting a talking point. This has to do with the fact that I spent 25 years in the Manhattan DA's office. I was hired by Robert Morgenthau, who, of course, was a Democrat, but we never knew that. We were always taught to do justice, and we never knew whether people had a different party. I'm appalled at what I'm seeing on both sides of the aisle. Weaponizing our justice system, that's wrong, and I'm running to remove that and get back to basics, prosecuting crime.
You think DA Bragg was playing politics with his prosecutions of the president?
I think DA Bragg plays politics not just in his political prosecutions, but in his everyday prosecutions. So, for example, we have him decriminalizing a whole host of things on his first day in office. That wasn't done because of his own thing. He was doing that for his base. Right? I mean, we had a woman recently whose case was dismissed. She was a pro-life influencer. She was sucker punched on camera. Case was dismissed. We have no idea whether it was because, the case had a flaw or a discovery issue, or in fact, it's because that she's pro-life and he's pro-choice. I'm pro-choice, but I will tell you that when I'm in the DA's office, no one is going to question whether the cases I'm bringing are based on politics. It's going to be based on the law and what's justice.
Well, the law in your state is pro-choice because my brother codified Roe v. Wade. But I understand the issue and the distinction you're making. So, you're DA. Politicians say, NYPD, you arrest these ICE officers if they're doing their job the wrong way, in your opinion. What does the DA say?
The DA says that I'm not answering to politicians. I'm elected and I represent the people of the state of New York. That's an important distinction. We are here to uphold the law. And yes, we have discretion, of course, and we were talking before we came back on about discretion. But discretion is not about, going after your political enemies. It's making sure that whoever you are, whether you're rich or poor, you're born here, you're born abroad, that you feel that you can come to the DA's office and get justice.
So, but on a straight black letter law level, What case are you bringing against a federal agency for how they do a job that is criminal?
Well, you're not, of course. You're not bringing a case against an agency. Of course, there are people within agencies. I mean, no one is above the law, right? A police officer, a DA, a news anchor. None of us are above the law. If we break the law, then we should be held accountable. But it's not always about, doing the highest crime or the lowest crime in order to, throw red meat to your base. It's about taking away the politics and making sure that people know that there's credibility here, that we're looking to balance what's fair and just.
So if people are looking at what the Attorney General is saying right now, and they're saying, oh, good, maybe she'll be able to prosecute ICE agents if they do their job the wrong way. Isn't she preparing them for disappointment?
What she's doing is she's playing politics, and I think the problem is ICE is also overstepping. So we have lots of wrongs here, and we need to get back to basics. When we talk about ICE has no right to come into our courthouses and disappear people, and not just because whatever side you're on this. When you're talking about criminal justice, victims have to be front and center. And if someone comes in and takes a defendant away before the case can run through the criminal justice system, that's not justice for anybody.
Right, but it's also a federal issue, not a local issue. And that's an important distinction, isn't it?
Well, it's a federal issue in terms of their immigration. But I'll tell you, Chris, I did this work for 25 years. When there was someone who was accused of a crime and they had an immigration hold, immigration knew that they had to wait till our case ran its course. If they pleaded guilty, we went to trial, they did their sentence, and then they went through the ICE system. Right now, what you're having, and this is a big problem, is that ICE is coming in, taking the defendants out, and not only does that deny justice to the victim, also makes all of us less safe, because when that person invariably comes back through our porous borders, there's no criminal case. Now what we're saying when ICE does that is that people that are undocumented have a carte blanche to commit crimes, and they're not going to be held accountable. You and I would be, but they're just going to be disappeared.
I appreciate you coming on and making the case. We'll be watching your race.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care of yourself.
Thank
All right. So, Diana Florence, running to be the DA. All right, you know who matters most. You saw a lot of spicy conversations, 4 minutes and 15 seconds for you to figure out what you want to say to me. It's time for you to have yours say. 844-968-7720. Let's get after it. Thank you very much. I like that music. My buddy worked on it, but I'm thinking maybe we got to change it. Anyway,
something
what do you got?
like hip-hoppy, maybe. Okay, anyway, I'll compose something later and show it to you.
Oh,
Joe
please.
from Colorado.
All right, Joe, what's your question?
How you doing, Chris? Hey,
Who can
listen,
complain?
Yeah. I live in Colorado, but originally I'm from Glen Cove, New York, on Long Island.
Strong Island,
And,
yes.
Yeah. And my family has been Cuomo fans forever. And now as an adult, and understanding at least I think I know what's going on in the world today. I've listened to your show when you were at CNN, and now I'm following you over to NewsNation, and I really appreciate your show. But I just got to tell you tonight, I'm disappointed with you having Santos on your show today. I just don't get it why you would have a guy on your show that would lie to everything that you've said, okay? And you asked him questions about everything, and you knew he was going to lie about everything. He lied before. He's lying tonight. He's not going to pay that money back. He doesn't care about those people he stole from. Why would you have him on your show? I'm really disappointed, Chris.
All right, you can be disappointed, or you could be a critical thinker and come to the conclusion that the reason I had him on is because he's a reflection of our president's values. That's why I had him on, not because I'm impressed by his ideas or his candor or what he does next. I don't care about any of that, to be honest, but I do care about what the highest official who wants to get every ounce of power he can have and says America first and that he's about making things better, what kinds of actions he takes. And he says George Santos should be forgiven and used his power with all the people he could use it on for this guy. That's why I had him on. Next.
Okay, next is Jeff from Massachusetts.
Jeff, what's your question? Nobody likes me tonight.
Since you have publicly mentioned that you would not run for president, perhaps you might consider accepting being recruited for the job. And given that Dusty has followed you in your honorable, newsworthy pursuits, would you join her if she was available to replace current White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt?
First of all,
or
okay,
would
go
you
ahead.
cop out by mimicking Groucho Marx's statement whereby he wouldn't join any club that would have him as a member?
Well, okay. First of all, you sound like Michael Smerconish. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that.
No.
I love Michael Smerconish. But second, Dusty would be a terrible press secretary. I would be an amazing press secretary because the press would hate me and ignore whoever I was fronting for, which is exactly their job. Leavitt happens to be doing a serviceable job if the way she does it, I think, feeds one of the problems with politics. I would never run for office for a very simple reason. We can do better. We can do better than me.
This call was about me.
No, it's not about you.
No, it was about me. You have to go to break. This call was about me becoming press secretary, not you becoming president.
I mean, that is crazy.
Right.
You really saw this all. You interpreted this all wrong.
First of all, it's my show. I'll interpret it any way I want. It's not Dusty in brackets. It's Cuomo. And anyone who knows you knows that all you would do is talk about yourself as press secretary. Ukraine, listen, let me show you my feet.
I lived in Russia. I lived in Russia. I lived in Moscow.
Don't let them know. Don't let them know. You're next. We'll be right back.
Bye.
So I'm getting a lot of comments that it's foolish for me to be optimistic and that everything's going to be terrible. I refuse to live that way, let alone to do the job that way. I believe the job is an act of faith in the future, and I am ridiculously optimistic. Leland Vittert, right now.
Well, it would be the first time everything's been terrible, right? Because America's been doing pretty good for 250 years.
All pain is personal. People see it as if it's always been this way, if it's this way for them. And that is the job, and you do it very well, is giving people perspective about where we've been before and how we got here.
Well, and nobody ever went broke betting on America, as Warren Buffett once said.
100%.
Mr. Cuomo, good to see you, my friend, as always. Thank you.